Welcome to Accounting in Focus. In this video, we are going to talk about the percentage of completion method for recognizing revenue on long-term contracts. So when you're doing long-term contracts, this is usually used for construction, or when you're doing like a long-term software contract or a long-term consulting contract that spans multiple years. How do we recognize that revenue? Well, remember that the basic revenue recognition principle says that revenue should be recognized when it is earned. And so if we are doing a long-term contract, a portion of the revenue is being earned each year. The easiest way to calculate how much of the work has been done is to look at the costs that have been incurred each year and compare that to the total costs of the contract. Because typically cost is a function of earning revenue. So if we can look at the total estimated cost on the job and we can look at the costs that are incurred each year, we can kind of figure out what percentage of the job has been completed, which is why we call it the percentage of completion method. We can look at those costs and get a pretty good estimate of how much of the job is finished and therefore how much of the revenue has been earned. So we have a contract here. The total contract price is $1.5 million. This contract spans 2013, 2014, 2015, so it's a 3-year contract. We have the costs that are incurred each year and the estimated cost to complete the job. It's very important that you not only have the costs that were incurred, but how much you think it's going to cost to finish the contract. Okay, so let's start running through the calculations for this. So what we're going to be looking at is the total contract price, the actual costs, and the estimated cost to complete. Then we'll calculate the total estimated cost, look at how much of the job we think is completed based on those costs. Then we're going to calculate the estimated gross profit that has been earned so far. We'll calculate how much profit has been earned to date, and then how much we actually need to recognize in this year. Okay, so we're going to start with the total contract price. The total contract price is $1.5 million. So let me just get my brush here. Okay, so that is 1,500,000. Okay, and then my actual cost to date. So my actual cost to date for 2013 are 275,000. And then the estimated cost to complete. Well, they think the estimated cost to complete is 825,000. So my total estimated cost, I'm going to add up the actual cost to date plus the estimated cost of completion. So I think that the total estimated cost is going to be 1,100,000. And so now we have to figure out what is the percentage that is complete. So we think the total cost of the job is going to be $1.1 million, and the actual cost to date are 275,000. So down here at the bottom, I'm going to take 275,000 and I'm going to divide that by 1,100,000 because that's the total cost of the job to get the percentage of the job that I think is completed so far. And so when I do the math, that is 25%. Okay, so we think 25% of the job is completed. So we're going to put that up here, 25%. Okay. Now we're going to figure out the estimated gross profit. Remember, gross profit is revenue minus expenses, minus cost of goods sold. And so my gross profit on the job right now, or my estimated total gross profit, is 1.5 million minus total cost of 1.1 million. So my estimated gross profit is 400,000. Okay, so that is the total gross profit for the entire job. Now, we believe that 25% of the contract is currently completed based on the estimated costs. So my gross profit to date would be 25% of the total estimated gross profit. So therefore, my profit to date would be 25% of the 400,000 or 100,000. Okay. And how much of that are we going to recognize? Well, since we have not recognized any of the profit so far, because this is the first year, and we believe that 100,000 has been earned to date, then I'm going to recognize $100,000 worth of gross profit. Okay. So now let's look at 2014. So for 2014, my contract price is still 1.5 million. My actual cost to date, okay, so I've got my total costs incurred for 2014 is 575,000. Plus I have the 275,000 that was incurred last year. Okay. So we need to add these two numbers together to get the actual cost to date. So 575 plus 275 is 850. And then the cost to complete the job, because of the work we did, the estimated cost has dropped. So we think another 450,000 to finish the job. Okay, so now we think that the total cost, notice the total costs have gone up. If we add these two numbers together, we get 1,300,000. So that's $200,000 higher than what we thought in 2013. Right, in 2013 we thought the total cost to complete was 1.1 million. Now we think it's 1.3. So if I figure out, if I take the actual cost to date of 850,000 and I divide that by 1.3 million, that'll tell us how much of the job we think has been completed, and that is 65%. Okay, so we currently think that 65% of the job has been completed. Okay, so now let's calculate the gross profit. Well, at this point, remember our costs rose, so 1.5 million minus 1.3 million. Now we think the gross profit on the job is only going to be $200,000. Okay, 65% of that 200,000 has been earned, so that is 130,769. That's just 65% of the 200,000. Now, this is the gross profit to date, but you have to remember that in 2013, we recognized a profit of 100,000. So we're saying that as of this point, 130,769 has been earned, but we already recognized 100,000 in the prior year. So in 2014, we're only going to recognize the portion that has not yet been recognized, which is $30,769. Okay, so when you're doing the amount to be recognized this year, you have to factor in the amount that was recognized in the prior year. Okay, so we think that the profit to date is 130,769, but 100,000 has already been recognized, so we only have to recognize another 30,769. Okay, now let's move on to 2015. In 2015, we finished the job. So my total contract price is still 1,500,000. The actual cost to date, so I've got 275,000 from 2013, 575,000 from 2014, and another 400,000 from 2015. So my total costs are 1,250,000. Okay, you notice that's a little bit of a drop from what we had thought before. There are no estimated costs to complete. So my total cost is 1,250,000. Okay, notice that's lower, right, than we thought. Then this happens a lot with construction contracts. You know, the costs fluctuate. Sometimes they go up. Sometimes you find cost saving measures and the costs go down. So that's why we have to make sure that every year we look at this and say, okay, how much gross profit? Because if we just kind of estimate it divided by 3 years, Not a very accurate way to do it. So this is, this is probably the most accurate way to do your cost on a long-term contract. So at this point, my percentage complete, the entire job is done. So that's 100%. That's a little messy. Okay. So my estimated gross profit is 1,500,000 divided by, or minus 250,000. 1,250,000. So my estimated gross profit is 250,000. Okay. So now my profit to date, because 100% of the contract is done, is 250,000. So now we have to say, okay, if this is my total profit on the job, how much has already been recorded? Well, remember, we've already recorded 130,769. Okay, so that was the profit to date. So now I have to subtract that because this has already been recorded in 2014. Remember, so I've got 100,000 2013, I have $30,169 in 2014. So the remaining amount would be 119,231. Okay, and that is the amount that's recognized in 2015. So if you add up 100,000 plus 30,769 plus 119,231, that brings you up to the 250,000. So all the revenue has been recognized. It just took us 3 years to do it. So I hope this video helped. If you thought it was helpful, please leave a comment. You can follow me on Facebook where I put up posts related to new videos that are being posted. You can also subscribe to this channel. Thanks so much. Have a great day.